А, має глибокі знання в сфері відносин між підрядниками та клієнтами, саме в питаннях охорони праці та безпеки, і відповідно забезпечує унікальне розуміння впровадження цих високих стандартів з безпеки. Майкл є почесним членом Міжнародного інституту управління ризиками та безпекою, асоційованим членом Інституту охорони праці та безпеки. І, взагалі, ну наскільки я розумію, в нас сьогодні буде така можливість отримати як мінімум ті знання, якими Майкл поділиться. Він підготував тільки 2 слайди, буде більшістю розповідати про свій досвід. Тому не соромтеся і задавайте питання. So Michael, just I introduced you to our student today, and stage is yours. So you can start. People are ready to receive all information and recording to their brain. So Michael, stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to talk. I'm not sure how well you'll understand my English, but I'll do my best. The subject I was given was construction plant and how we manage that in the UK and how we get people to be competent to be able to deliver and operate construction plant on a daily basis. One of the things over the UK at the moment we do suffer from is construction plant and vehicles running over people on sites, and it's something that we need to take a lot more seriously and put more control measures in place in the UK before, you know, as much as we'd like to go around and deliver this to other countries, I still believe we've got a little bit of work at home to do before we can give it. Please, if anyone has any questions or doesn't quite understand what I'm trying to say, and you're not quite getting the gist, please just jump in and I'll try and explain it in a better way that I can get the message across. I hope that's clear. So in the UK, for anyone to operate plant, and when I talk about plant, I'm talking rollers, dumpers, any category of construction equipment mechanically that is to be operated on site, the operator must be competent. And to get competency over here, over in the UK, we run a scheme called CPCS scheme. And I'm going to try and share my screen if I can. Yeah, here we go. So there, share. So allow, yeah, right. So hopefully that's sharing. It's not, is it? Let's put glasses on. It's my screen? No, it's not. I can tell it's not sharing. It's
we can see only just your screen, but without any slides. Yes. Oh, okay. Now.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So what each individual would get when they've gone through the scheme, and I'll go through how we get to this stage. At the end of the day, everyone gets a little credit card, and on the back of the credit card, it will give the category of plant or equipment that they can operate. So the individual would carry this card with them, and so as you as a site manager or a safety manager would go up to them and ask to see their competency card, and this is what you would get to see. And on the back of it, it will have categories of plant that they would operate. Now, to get the card, they would have to go through, let me just shut that bit down and try and find the other one. No, where's it gone? No, let me go to this one. So there we go. We go back to sharing. So we would have two routes to get the card. One, a complete novice, and one who's experienced. So when we talk about someone who is experienced in our industry, we would talk about someone who's had at least a minimum of 2 years operating that category of plant. How do we have that category of plant? What would gauge that category of plant, and how do you get this category of plant? So to get the category of plant, you must operate the item for at least 2 years. So, and now the scheme has just changed where you'd have to do another written qualification of answering questions, do a health and safety exam. Again, using a computer, we would go to a dedicated centre where you would have to do a touchscreen test of answering questions on health and safety in relation to the category of plant that you're going to operate. When you've done that, you would apply for the category of plant, and you must do this on each category of plant that you would obtain. So if you was operating 4 or 5 items of plant, you would have to do this for 4 or 5 items, 4 or 5 different tests. Now, when we talk about how do you get to that, first of all, in the UK, let's stop sharing that a minute and explain a bit more. So in the UK, when we first introduced this scheme, we had an amnesty where everyone could apply, and it would be taken that the employer would sign a declaration that, in my instance, that Michael could operate. I had experience on about 10, 12 different categories of plant. So I was given a card which would last for 5 years. I'd have to do a health and safety test, but that would give me a card so that everyone across the board. So when somebody says, well, we couldn't afford everyone to go and do a health and safety test, do a touchscreen test on day one. So what we did is, over the UK, we introduced that we could introduce what we affectionately known it as grandfather's rights. So if you had the knowledge, you had the skills. So anyone with the knowledge and skills today in the Ukraine could operate the plant, and all it would need is their employer to sign a letter to say that they was competent. And over 3 years, or in our case, 5 years, 3 years, 5 years, they would have to maintain a logbook to say that they've got the relative experience. And in the logbook, they would tell us what you were doing on a weekly basis. And then that would be called, nowadays, that is how you would get the experienced worker card. If you was a new person, so say someone on this call who was working behind a desk, wanted to operate an item of plant on site, they would have to go what we call foundation training, basic training. A bit like when someone joins a company, they go back to the very beginning. And someone would then come along and teach them how to operate that item of plant. The item of plant then would be, you would then be tested, and when you're tested at the end of the foundation course, you must get a certain standard to reach the required level of experience and show a degree of understanding of what you can achieve doing the set test. And the test is all set out It's all specified, a set test, very much like a driving test. You would have to do certain actions to reach a certain standard. The scheme has been running in the UK for over 25 years. Every year or not every year, every couple of years, it's slightly adapted to improve the system. And now we've got to renew your cards. Nowadays, you have to do what we call an MVQ, a vocational qualification, which means you have to demonstrate that you've done this over 6 to 12 months previously, and that you then fill in a booklet identifying all the activities that you've achieved over the previous 6 months to renew your card, which you would have got your card under the old scheme of, yes, the employer signed it off. So in 5 years' time, your scheme would allow anyone who starts today, they would have 5 years to maintain their card and do another qualification to keep their cards moving forward. And again, we have 2 different color cards. Let me share the screen again, sorry. We have 2 different color cards. We'll have a red card. Let's just drag this back, sorry. Shut that down. We'd have a red card and a blue card. And a blue card would be the way I've described it, and the red card would be through the a booklet scheme where you would demonstrate as you go along.
Michael, if you are sharing the screen, we do not see it now.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
No, thank you. Oh, there we go. Right, there we go. Yeah, right. So let's drag this back across. Can you see that now? Back to
yes.
Yeah, thank you. So if you do the red card, you'll first of all get a red card, which allows you to undertake the basic training, and then you would achieve your MVQ with it, or the VQ quality vocabulary qualification in 2 years. But the blue card would have to be achieved every 5 years. You would have to do either an MVQ, or you could do a test. Now, you can do a basic fundamental test where somebody comes out to you and you'd have an instructor or a trainer that would come out and test you to a required standard, very much like a driving test, that they would come to your place of work and you would carry out the test on site. But then after that, you're only allowed to do that twice. And the card would only last for 2 years while you're getting a voluntary vocabulary qualification. And that is very
Michael,
simple.
and what about, sorry for my question, just would like to clarify. So one person must have the both cards, or
no,
just
no. Right,
okay, so
right.
it depends on the position, yes?
Yes, right.
Okay.
So it's a good question. And one person can have 2 cards. Sorry, you are quite, yes. So if I had a blue card and I've been operating a 360 item of kit, a digger on site, and I've got it through my employer, that would give me a blue card for 5 years. Then if I wanted to operate a dumper and I didn't do it through my employer, and I did it through the vocabulary qualification, that would be a red card. So I would technically have 2 cards. But where we're starting the scheme, and I believe this is the fundamental, is what we're trying to do, we're going to try and start a scheme where everyone gets an honesty program, where we believe that everyone who come to us today, we would get their employer to say yes, that they could operate that bit of plant on site. So everyone would start off with a blue card. And that would say you could decide how long that would last for your scheme. And then at the end of your grace period, you could then decide to operate the red card, where they would have to start undergoing the test before. But to start the scheme off, everyone would be under one coloured card, whatever colour you want. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. And that's how simple we made the scheme over here. And as I say, at the moment, it's recognised by all the clients. It's a government. It's a government scheme. It's operated and recognised by all our trade unions. It's recognised by our health and safety officers. It's recognised by our health and safety executive. So it's a very well recognised scheme. And nowadays, it's very unlikely that you would get onto site without having a card of some description, either it be red or whether it will be blue. And that's my presentation. And I'm here to ask questions. And as Ian, that's the brief Ian give me. Go and describe the CPS scheme on construction plant. Hopefully that makes sense to people. Are there any questions? Short and sweet.
Most of all, clearly for me.
Sorry, say that again, sir.
Most of all, I am understand.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. It's very much like people going and getting a driver's license. That if you and you know, it's very much like you would, and I take it Ukraine's the same as the UK. If you have a car, you can only drive a car license. If you go and drive a lorry, you go and do another test to operate that lorry. Is that how it operates in the Ukraine?
Yes.
Yeah. So all that happens on construction is that you would go and do a test for operating that item of plant. Diggers, rollers, dumpers, whatever you want to operate on site. That is what you would do. You go and do a test. But to start the scheme off, and we've got to start somewhere, we would let everyone be very trustworthy and go to their employer to guarantee and say, yes, you can operate that item of plant.
In Ukraine today we have it's my reality in Ukraine. We have a problem with their license for drivers who can transportation fuel and other dangerous material like gas, some gas. Yeah.
LPG, you mean?
LPG.
LPG,
So
yeah.
yeah, LPG. So in the UK, for anyone to carry LPG over a certain amount of fuel on the back of any truck, again, we have a scheme here where they must be trained. And it's over here, it's a 5-day course where if they manage, if they operate equipment with any substances that are dangerous, they must carry out a dangerous goods qualification. Now, the dangerous goods can be a gas, a liquid, packaging, and we would have separate modules for what that individual would carry. And we would call that ADW, Advanced Dangerous Goods. And that's, again, that is something that in the UK we would have a program setting out dangerous goods and carrying dangerous products around the roads of the UK. And then each vehicle would then have to display a symbol on their truck of what they're carrying. And also they would have to have certain safety procedures, i.e. a fire extinguisher, control measures, and what control measures would be put in place in the event that there was an accident, and how they could then manage that in the event of an accident. Does that answer your question, sir? I'm not going to try and pronounce names.
No, thanks. Thank you.
Any other questions, folks? Simple. It's trying to make people understand what we do in the UK and trying to help Ukraine set up these standards as we move forward.
Okay, I have a question about how about difficult to get driver license for a Ukrainian man in UK, for example?
Okay, so if the if the person comes from the Ukraine and holds a Ukrainian driver's license, he must within 12, if he takes up residence here in the UK, he must obtain a British driving license. And to do that, he must apply to DVLA. DVLA is Driving Vehicle License Agency. But he must do it within 12 months. After 12 months, his Ukrainian license would not be valid. And that's the same for any EU, non-EU license. If you're driving over 12 months in the UK, your driving license would not be seen as valid. You must obtain a UK driver's license.
Okay, thank you.
Any other?
As I understand, 12 months.
12 months, yes.
Ukrainian person must drive in UK.
Yeah, you can apply sooner. If you know you're going to be here longer than 12 months, you can apply sooner. But the cutoff is after 12 months, you will be driving without a valid driver's license.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, folks? Is there anything you'd like to ask on construction in the UK while I'm here? Very quiet today.
Shame our folks. Maybe.
No. Okay. If there's no more questions, then I won't take up no more of your time. I'm not sure if you'd like me to hang around or if you wish to talk among yourselves. But if someone could tell me what you would like to do.
Please repeat. I don't understand last phrases.
Right. Would you like me to stay or would you like me to go?
Oh,
If there's
as
no more questions, there's
as for me, I want to speak with you, but I can say for my colleague, I
yeah,
suppose they are here, but I don't see they.
yeah. And what else would you like to ask, sir?
What about your profession? Because I connection to conference some later than other, and I did not meet with you.
Yeah, so I'm classed as a health and safety professional. So my background is I've worked in construction with over I used to employ between 300 and 500 people on a bad day. So over the course of a week,
Mm.
we would average about 400 people. We would do all types of construction through basement up until high-rise buildings, uh, and and I was to say the responsibility for health and safety on all our sites, and we would have about 25, 30 sites ongoing at any one time.
Oh, it's cool. It's really big responsibility.
Yeah, yeah. Our turnover in the UK was we would turn over a course of a year in the region of about 80 million pounds. So I don't know
Mhm.
what the conversion rate between pound and Ukraine co coins or currency, that's the word I'm looking for, would be. So we were a medium to large company. And as I say, we would undertake large projects. We did a lot on the Olympic sites when the UK hosted the Olympics. We did a lot of work on that. Um, and we would have a tendering system where people would gain work through everyone, 3 or 4 companies would tender for the work, would value the work, and the bidder would you would follow a set criteria of how you would get the work.
Mm. As you say about tendering system for finding contractor.
Yeah, so the way that people would find contractors is they would either go direct to the contractors and they everyone would be given the same documents and each contractor would then price the works up. So whatever, so if you wanted to do a basement, everyone would get the same documentation
Mm.
to price that up, and it would then come back of what considerations that you would have to do the work in.
Okay. About this, in Ukraine, we have some document like a technical task. In
Yeah,
Ukraine, technical task for some service, for some
yeah,
service or
yeah,
some
yeah,
goods or material which we want to buy or get for our company. And when we prepare this technical task, we must uh, prevent previously
yeah,
assessment, yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
assessment potential risk and potential condition.
yeah. So we would have to demonstrate that we've done this job before. So we couldn't just rock up or turn up and say we can do this job. We have to demonstrate that we've done this job before, whether it's a large scale or a small
Mhm.
scale. And as you quite rightly say, if it's a specialist task, so tarmacking, laying roads would be classed as a specialist task in the UK. Putting up scaffold would be a specialist task where we would employ another company to undertake those specialist tasks on our behalf.
Okay. Mostly I understand. As for me, my name is Michael. I am an OHS manager in Ukrainian agriculture company, and I have 7 employees in my team. And we try start development of HEC culture in agriculture in my agriculture company. In Ukraine, it's really very bad condition, maybe condition in in this topic, because when we talk about production, it's more development with agriculture. But I hope in near future we will do all depend from us, all task and all task with which depend from me and my team.
Yeah, well, you'll be pleased to know that you're not the only country in the world that suffers agricultural failures. And one of our health and safety concerns in this country is the amount of people that are killed in agriculture. Now, I'm not sure if anyone's shared this with you before, but you do have access to the UK Health and Safety Executive website. And what I will do is I shall put the link on the chat.
Oh, thank you.
Now, what that will do is if you click on that, Michael, I've just put it on the chat. It should take you to. I know it's in English because it's an English website, but this is what what we would call these people, the health and safety executive. They're what I would describe as our safety police. They're an independent, they're a government-run body that come and inspect our sites. And if you go on there, that gives a lot of information. And if you type in agriculture, it will come up with a lot of information of how and things you do that you can do to improve agriculture.
Okay.
Can you open that page?
I open that link, and
now if you click on
I
there,
save for me in my browser.
Yeah, if you click on there, that will, if you click on there, you can go to whatever subject, you can type in the top page and it will talk about risk assessments. Can talk about dangerous goods. It's a very, it's a really well run website that we use in the UK. It's a guidance tool for us, and it produces a lot of on there. We can download a lot of our guidance documents free of charge. So if you wanted to set up standards and try and improve, that to me would be one of your first port of calls, because a lot of this would also be guidance running parallel to EU legislation.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's a good starting point for you as a benchmark and to try and improve your company.
Oh, benchmark is як це сказати, benchmark in our company are improved.
Yeah,
not only about production with other company when they equal equal their income and their other point in production.
yeah, and if you improve your, it's been proven that if you improve your safety cultures,
Yeah,
your
but
put
not in
your
safety.
yeah, your production will improve also.
Um, Michael, you have NIBUS certificate, NIBUS.
Yeah, I'm IOSH actually. So we would start off. NEBOSH to us would be a starting block, a foundation course. We would do that when we start out to be a
Oh,
safety manager, and then we graduate to become members of IOSH. We have two, or nowadays we have actually three NEBOSH certificates that we would look to employ people under. NEBOSH General, which is just specific health and safety. We have another NEBOSH certificate for construction, and now there's a NEBOSH certificate for fire. And all these would be issued. We would expect a safety manager or an OS manager to have these qualifications.
I understand. It's cool. It's my wish in future about 3, 5 years for me. I
Yeah,
want to get this certification and stay a member of NIBUS community
yeah,
in in 20 yeah in the February of 2024 I start NIBUS course and passed first first part of exam, but then I was fired from the company. Yeah, I leave the company because I had some trouble with my chief and uh, that's why I not finished this course and I did not stay member of NIBUS community. But and for me it was a really difficult task because my English is not good for understanding deep 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 means some terms and as a person from Ukraine about common sense. Our thinking is not like you. It's not like you.
yeah.
We,
Um, it's very important, no matter you talk about the NEBOSH community, but I've always found it very important to maintain a correspondence with my
Mhm.
peers and have a network of like-minded safety professionals that I can reach out to. There's not a safety professional that I know that knows it all. And certain subjects I would go and ask other people for their advice. So it's very good to set up a network of allies or people that you can go to for information. And you can, you can start that sooner rather than later by getting people's phone numbers and communicating on a daily basis, and um, expressing a wish to learn.
yeah.
Are there any more questions? If your English isn't very good, if you put your question in Ukrainian in the chat room, I will translate it and I'll put the answer. I will tell you what my view would be or things like that, if that helps people. If you're my Ukraine is not as good as your English, I know, or yeah, definitely your English should be 10 times better than me. But if you're lacking that confidence to ask a question, put it in the chat room and I will translate it into English so I understand what question you would like to answer. If that helps.
Okay, yes. Mikhailo, by the way, I just put in a chat that please call me on mobile phone.
Yeah, I
Okay, I will wait for your call. So just I have a question, Michael, to you. So just about the hosting the site during the reconstruction. Is it possible in UK that the operation is still present during construction or reconstruction of any site? Or just it's prohibited? You can just only provide the site to contractor and they are responsible for everything what is going on the site.
No, it doesn't necessarily mean we would have something called the PC, principal contractor. So the principal contractor would be the person, and it can be the owner of the building. So if you were doing a refurb and you kept wanting to work, then the owner of the vehicle would have a duty to protect everyone. So that would still come under, everyone would still be protected and everyone would still have to be kept safe. The person doing the work also has a responsibility for his work, and they would have to take steps to stop anyone going into that area where the works would be taking place. And to do that, we would liaise, we would meet everyone, and we would discuss actions that allow us to continue working. Now, that you could, if you're a principal contractor, and quite often does, you put restrictions on the working hours of noisy works. So if you're an office and your office is being refurbed and you wanted to knock down a wall the next floor up, you would ask for that works to be carried out when the office wasn't working. And it's all about what we call coordination, cooperation, but it's a legal duty that has to take place. You're not allowed to just turn up and carry out the works without liaising or consulting other parties in them works. Does that make sense and answer your question?
Yes, absolutely, yes. Thank you. Colleagues, do you have any question to Michael? Колеги, чи є у вас якісь питання до Майкла? Може ви напишете в чат англійською чи українською, ми зможемо перекласти.
I have no question.
Okay.
Please, sir. Go ahead.
Ми не чуємо. Хтось намагався задати питання, не чуємо. Мабуть, виключений мікрофон. Колеги, нічого не чутно. Якщо є питання, будь ласка, задавайте або пишіть чат, ми допоможемо з перекладом.
I don't have a question.
Please, Michael.
No, I thought no passion. Yeah.
I can also share, just for example, in Ukraine even we had similar cards as you shared. For example, when we have one contractor and other subcontractors. It's not according to Ukrainian legislation. It's of course more according to UK legislation. For example, all contractors or subcontractors and the CBRE contractor, they have these cards, and you already know when you can see it and the expiring date. You know about all trainings which people had, and just you are fully sure that this person knows how to provide that or another job. It's also not only to employees who really in operation, but also for managers.
Yeah, and we would have another card for that, which we call a CSCS card. And it's the same principle. So this would be for people actually working on site, doing a trade. So you're either a pipe layer, steel fixer, and that's slightly the same principle. Again, you'd have to do your qualification, and it would show the training that you've undertaken. And we deliver that training all the way down to our labourers. So labourers would have to gain a green, we have different colour cards for a labourer, a manager, a supervisor. And very similar to what you say. But what it doesn't do is if you do in-house training or other training courses, the card doesn't allow, our card over in the UK doesn't allow us to put other training on the card. So people have to carry or have to be trusted that they've had all this other training, and they could end up with about 10, 15 certificates that they might have to show. So what we do in the UK, we give a lot of refresher training. But we do need, the UK does need to develop a bank or a card that allows us to bank all our training and not just the main safety training that they undertake. So your scheme, by if you could put all training onto it, is a better one than what we've got in the UK.
Thank you. Thank you. Колеги, чи є питання?
Good afternoon. I have a question, but maybe this is not belong to your area in general.
Please, ask.
Oh, sorry. I want to ask you about what about sorry, my English. Is the psychology like? Do you know? I saw 45003, yes, and I saw 45001. 001 is belong to the HIC service, yes. They like deal with this. What about 45? I saw 45003 about psychological risk. Is this the duty of HSC service? HSC personal, or it's another service exist in the companies?
Right. So what you're talking about, let me share my screen, and you are talking about this document here. Is that correct?
Do not see your screen.
Oh, right. Let me try and share again. Let me go back a minute. Let me try and share. Is that sharing now?
System management in the occupational health and safety.
Right. So what you're referring to standards. So
Yeah.
45,001 is a standard. Now that standard is...
But my question is not so about standards, yes, about duties.
Yes. Right. and this is why it's important that I try and explain about standards. Standards are recognised. The BSI 45003 is recognised worldwide. It's not just the UK standards. It's recognised throughout the world, and that is then maintained by a different body, and people would come out and audit you to make sure that you're maintaining them specific standards. You cannot in the UK get prosecuted if you do not maintain your standards. A standard is a guidance. It's a suggested method of how you run your company.
Mm-hmm.
And we would look for a company in the UK, a construction company would have, over in the UK, we would look at 45,001, 9,001 and 14,001 would be the three main standards that we would look in a construction company would look to maintain. When we talk about psychology and a standard for psychology, we would then look at more behavioural safety. And behavioural safety in the last 10, 15 years in the UK has really tried to develop, where we try and change, or not change, but have an understanding of behavioural safety in the UK. And it's a way where people have greatly improved safety culture in the UK by changing the safety of behavioural safety of people working in the UK. Does that answer your question? No.
Maybe my explanation not so clear, but
Let I help a little bit, maybe.
так, будь ласка,
Yes, just...
оцієї психосоціальної
Я зрозуміла вас.
чи будуть належати, чи належить у них службі охорони праці?
Галина, я вас зрозуміла. Я ловила ваше питання.
Будь ласка, перекладіть, бо я
Ви були дуже зрозумілі, просто це не завжди, це не так в них трошки працює, як інший Майкл сказав, в розумінні, розумієте? Тобто для них це дивно. So, just Michael, the question is about responsibility. So when we talk about we have these psychological standards, just there are a lot of different requirements according to these standards.
Yes.
And as a rule, just it's always a question between HR, between HEC and other people. Just who is responsible for this part? Just to be sure that everything is okay, providing additional support to staff, organizing this psychological help, maybe some seminars, etc. So just, and now it's a question from Galina, who is responsible for it? People from occupational and health, just from our department, or you have other people, or just you have, if this is new function, you hire another one person to be sure that this function will be covering on the really good level. So just the question was in this area. Yeah,
right. Okay. So in the UK, again, the 45,001 is a guidance document. It's not managed by the HSC. It's managed by the company. So the company would manage it. Depends on what standard you were working to. In your case, 45,003. I would, in the UK, depending on the size of the company, we would put that probably into human resources or health surveillance. I don't know the standard very well, so I'd have to go and look at it. But what would happen is the
It's
HSC.
more about practice. It's not about the standards by itself, but maybe you
No.
know this and you
Yeah.
have already experience with some companies, and you can share this for our using.
So we would call that document a management system. So we would put in place the management system to manage that documentation, the guidance documentation of 45,003. We would have a management system to work and to help us maintain the specific level to achieve 45,003. We would then pay another company to come and audit us, to issue us with certification to say that we are maintaining our standards to that level specified in the guidance document or the 45,003 documentation. An independent company would come and carry out the audit on our behalf, which would then give us certification. But all the work of maintaining the system would be by the company. Now it's not necessarily one department would manage it. It could be across the board depending on what standard that you were working towards or you were maintaining. Is that a clearer understanding of what the question was?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, yes.
Галина, більш-менш, так?
Ну, так, вловила. Мгм.
Да, ну тому що в них немає такого, що типу хтось відповідає. Ну, по-перше, він не може там точно дати цю відповідь, да, тому що але вони дуже добре там орієнтуються в цьому стандарті. Просто що це як процедура, як частина цієї процедури, яку потрібно запровадити, і відповідно це може бути поділено крос-функціонально між функціями.
Да. Я якраз хотів сказати, все залежить чисто від того, як оцей скелет накласти на яку компанію.
Ну, так, логічно. Мгм, дякую. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Колеги, чи є ще питання, чи будемо відпускати?
Нема питань.
Thank you, Michael.
Michael, thank you so much. Just I'm in the center of Kyiv already, so just
Oh, lovely.
yes. So my colleagues drove me to next meeting. So thank you so much for this session, especially big thank for this possibility to have Q&A session, yes, because question and answer exactly about that question, which are critical for us. It's really cool that we can have this Q&A session, even most of the session, because it's I think that it's more valuable. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for your time, folks, and I wish everyone success, and hopefully your troubles will get overtaken very quickly and we can all return to a peaceful and working more closely together going forward as countries and as individuals. And I really do pray for you every night. So thank you for allowing me to talk to you.
Thank you, and thank you for your support. It's also valuable because just we understand that we are not alone, and just always can receive a lot of knowledges from you and from your colleagues, from Jan also. Thank you so much, and have a nice day. Take care, guys.
Yeah, and you. Thank you, folks. God bless. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you for
Goodbye.
thanks for your
Bye.
time and thank you for your answer. It's
Thank
really
you, guys.
good for me and I need practice in speaking. Thank you.
It's much better than my Ukrainian, so well done. Thank you, folks. God bless.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.